Hi there, welcome back. The headlines you're waking up to this morning. Thousands of teachers in England are on strike today in a row over pay and working conditions. It's thought that about 40% of schools are affected.
Doctors should not blame patients for being fat, according to the new NHS guidelines. Medical staff will be told they should show respect and not be judgmental. And that is the front page story in the Daily Mail this morning. There you can see repeating the words respectful and anything else, and they might actually be detrimental towards that patient's care and future well-being.
Well, here's what you think of that proposal.
Rather than being nasty to them and say it's your fault, I think you should help them.
There's probably got to be more of a 50-50 approach with it. You know, they've got to put in a bit of work themselves.
You need to be sympathetic, full stop.
Fund education and fund doctors more, but also explain to people the consequences of what they do.
Well, joining us now is Tam Fry from the National Obesity Forum and nutritionist and TV presenter Larry Turner. Good to see you both. Larry, let me kick off with you. You, I think, as a child had a weight problem. You're now, as I said, a nutritionist. Is being gentle with people who are overweight the right way ahead? Should we show them respect? Should we be non-judgmental?
I think there's carrot and there's stick. When I was a teenager and I was quite heffalumpish, it wasn't normal to be overweight. It was very stigmatised, and that's one of the reasons why I didn't want to be fat anymore. Now you can buy plus-size clothing everywhere. It's all about being, proud of your body despite your size, and we have lost the message that actually obesity is a health problem, and it's associated with diabetes, with heart problems, with infertility. For young women in particular, we need to tell them that you are likely to cause yourself a great deal of problems in older age.
It's how you tell, though,
yes,
isn't it? That's the
and I think the trouble with doctors, they tend to have 6 minutes to see somebody. They don't have the time to employ the kind of emotional intelligence skills, because certainly, again, for women, it's a lot about the emotional side, stress eating, comfort eating, eating to kind of cover up all sorts of emotional issues. And that, you can't just tell somebody, well, go on a diet. That doesn't solve that.
It's a bit sad, isn't it? It feels like we're almost having to tell doctors to have a bedside manner here.
Yeah, but there are bedside manners and bedside manners, and when they're at the bedside, they have more time. But as Larry was saying, the 6 minutes are absolutely crucial, and unless they get the wording right from the offset, they're going to spend all that 6 minutes arguing the toss with the patient.
Well, what's wrong, Tam, with saying to someone in a gentle way, look, you are eating too much, or you're eating the wrong food. You are seriously overweight, and if you continue with this, you're going to get diabetes, you might get a heart attack, you might get a stroke. What's wrong with saying?
Yeah, there's those that would say a short, sharp shock is a wake-up call.
Absolutely. Well, there's a mixture of the two. To you and I, there's nothing wrong with that. But a lot of doctors find that difficult, and they get things off to a bad start.
Like what? Give me an example of how it could be damaging.
Basically, saying what John has just said, but saying it in a manner which is judgmental or blaming. And that is the crucial issue. If you can get the patient on your side and have the confidence, then you can go in with a hard message which says, this is the consequence. And Larry spelled out the consequences. She only went for a few consequences. There are many, many more.
I often say to people, do you have any health? I see people who are very overweight and just a little bit overweight. And if they're very overweight, I say, do you have any health issues related to your weight? And they often say no. And I say, well, what about your arthritis? Oh, well, I've got a bit of arthritis. Well, I'm afraid that's associated with your weight. Well, what about, have you had your blood sugar checked? Well, yes, I am, borderline, type 2 diabetic. And so it's amazing how you can, and speaking as someone who's been overweight themselves, you can decide not to recognise that stuff that's happening
because
to you.
of the fact that it is a difficult thing to get your head around, isn't it? And I mean, you've actually said that along with nutrition, you do give hypnotherapy now. So that is recognising, isn't it, that these things are psychological?
Yes, because the problem is, if you were told you have to give up drinking, you don't actually have to go in a pub. But you have to go in a supermarket, you have to eat every day. And so somehow people, particularly who eat compulsively, have got to manage that. I mean, I work with two things. With hypnotherapy, you work with images to kind of, in a way, to either motivate or frighten people. So I say to people, okay, if you think of yourself, what's the worst you can imagine? You being really overweight in a bikini, for example.
This is time, though, Larry.
Scares
You've got
people.
the time. The GPs
have absolutely.
And what's your view, briefly, Tam, about those places up and down the UK that would say, unless you lose weight, you can't have this kind of treatment. We're not going to help you unless you help yourself.
Well, I was handling that only yesterday, and my view is very clear: is that the duty of the NHS, the duty of the doctor, is to treat the patient. And you should not make that kind of stricture on them. and I was doing a phone-in program, and the prevalence of opinion was that was a bad idea out in the community, and I wish that Cardiff and Vale, which was where I was talking, would forget the whole idea.
Okay, thanks very much indeed to the two of you. Thanks to you for your texts and emails. I think we shouldn't beat around the bush when it comes to people's health. It would hurt to hear, but it's in their own interest, says Tessa, but lots more disagreeing with that.
Thanks very much indeed.
You're welcome.
Now, still to come, a worldwide TV exclusive from Mr. Robbie Williams. You don't want to miss that, do you? It's coming up after 8.
But first, here's Jenny Powell with the competition.
Here in West Yorkshire, our viewers have won over £100,000 worth of prizes. And now it's your chance. We have £50,000, a brand new car and loads of gadgets for one lucky winner. And it's not just any old car. This is the Mercedes CLA 180 AMG Sport. It has DAB radio and intelligent headlights. As well as the Mercedes and the £50,000 in cash, we have a stellar selection of gadgets that are sure to inspire. Including 2 Samsonite suitcases, 6 bottles of champagne, a dual-lit toaster and coffee maker, a KitchenAid mixer and a Bose sound dock, plus loads more. For your chance to win the Mercedes £50,000 and all the gadgets, just text the word WIN to 65430. Call 090 41 61 9000. Text costs £1.50 plus 1 standard network rate message. Calls cost no more than £1.54 from BT landlines. Other networks may be higher and mobiles considerably more. Or enter for free at itv.com. Entrants must be 18 or over. Entries made after lines close at midday on Friday the 18th of October will not be counted but may still be charged. Good luck!
Good luck with that, and you're going to need a bit of luck with the weather today, aren't you, Laura?
Today is probably the only day that we've been given luck and a glimmer of sunshine. The fine weather, I'm afraid, will not last. Let's take a look.
Daybreak National Weather in association with Topps Tiles, brightening your home, whatever the weather.
Yes, yesterday was awful for many of us. Tomorrow, more rain. Today, sort of sandwiched in between with some drier, brighter weather. Now, this is how it looks at the moment. We're in between 2 areas of low pressure. This one will bring the rain tomorrow. This one brought the rain yesterday, but high pressure in charge today, and it brings with it a milder southwesterly flow. It's been pushing our weather front northwards and bringing with it some much warmer air. So this morning, through parts of England and Wales, temperatures are some 10 degrees higher than they were this time yesterday. Not dry for everyone, the odd shower dotted around here and there, but still a rather grey and quite a wet morning to come across Scotland. That's the legacy of yesterday's weather front. It'll be here all day long through Scotland, heaviest out towards the west. A bit of a breeze, but most of us today drier, brighter with more sunshine around and feeling a lot warmer as well. Now, as we head through the day, England and Wales, with the warmth, will see clouds bubbling up. That produce the odd scattered shower here and there, but equally in the sunshine, 18, maybe 19 will feel very nice indeed. Scotland stays cloudy, it stays grey, it stays wet, it will feel cold. Now, overnight tonight, the last of that rain peters out through Scotland. Eastern areas with this warmth will turn very foggy. Then from the west, rain will invade, spoiling everything for many tomorrow. For your local 5-day weather update, go to our website, itv.com/daybreak.
Coming up on the show after 8, we're going to be speaking to the schools minister about the teachers' strikes and how they may well be disrupting your day.
Martin Lewis will be here to tell us how you can cash in on credit, and he'll have his deals of the week.
You left me for months thinking I'd killed Carl.
Siege grips the nation. We'll show you how Hollywood style special effects will pack a punch on your screen tonight.
Yes, and after 8, Hollywood on the sofa. We're joined by film royalty, Sir Ben Kingsley. First, here's Ranveer with a summary of the news.
Thank you, John. Good morning. Thousands of teachers in England are on strike today in a row over pay and working conditions. It's thought about 40% of schools will be affected. Kamal Farnborough has this report.
Aisling McSweeney is a physics teacher, but today she won't be in school. Along with thousands of other teachers, she'll be on strike.
We're totally fed up. So Michael Gove is making massive changes to the education system, the way teachers are paid, our working conditions, our pensions. We feel like there's nothing else we can do.
The teachers are protesting about plans to link how much they are paid to how they perform in the classroom and about changes to their pensions.
We don't want to be on strike ourselves. We want to find a way out of this. There is massive pressure on wages and on pensions for everyone. The fact is, though, that if we don't make teaching attractive, these people's children won't have a teacher any day.
Pupils in 4 regions will be affected: the North East and Cumbria, the South East, the South West and London. The government has condemned the move, saying it is disappointing that all strikes will do is disrupt parents' lives, hold back children's education and damage the reputation of the profession. But many parents are supporting the teachers.
I'd rather have my teachers enthused and looking after my kids and doing a decent job.
If we don't strike, our voices are not heard.
It's only a day. If it goes on any longer, I might change my mind.
And this doesn't look like it will be the last strike this year. Plans for another one-day walkout before Christmas have already been announced.
Doctors need to be careful with their tone when speaking to patients about being overweight. That's according to new NHS guidelines. Medical staff have been told they should not blame patients for being fat, and they should show respect while warning how difficult it can be to lose weight. New guidelines on how the police and courts deal with child abuse cases are being published today. The Director of Public Prosecutions, Keir Starmer, hopes the advice will bring more convictions. The guidelines have been drawn up after several high-profile cases, including the abuse of teenagers by gangs in Rochdale and Oxford. Labour wants payday loan companies to pay millions of pounds in extra taxes. Ed Miliband will say later that his party will use that money to set up credit unions where people can get a loan at a lower rate of interest. It's been suggested that 5 million British families plan to borrow from payday lenders in the next 6 months. The Scottish National Party's annual conference opens in Perth today, 11 months before the referendum on independence. Throughout the event, party activists will argue that leaving the UK will bring a better deal for Scotland. SNP leader Alex Salmond will make the opening address. After 8 decades as a couple, a 100-year-old man and his 99-year-old partner have finally married in Paraguay. Jose Manuel Rea and Martina Lopez say they just never got round to having a religious ceremony. They were joined by their 8 children, 50 grandchildren, 35 great-grandchildren and 20 great-great-grandchildren. And apparently he says his wife still does all the household chores.
Oh,
You're doing well at 99.
It's doing well to get him to marry her
Yeah,
for that. She's been doing
true.
housework for all that time. I love the fact she's still all white with like
Absolutely.
20 great-great-grandchildren.
Looks like a
Good girl.
fantastic party. As you may have heard, scientists have developed what they've called a magic bullet in the war on superbugs. Casey Fawcett is in Leicester, where this latest discovery was made. A new treatment that apparently could almost wipe out the deadly C. difficile.
Yes, well, C. difficile infected more than 18,000 people in England alone last year, but students at the University of Leicester here think they found its nemesis. So let's give you the science bit. What Chris has got here is Petri dishes full of C. difficile, and he's adding different viruses. Where you see those blobs that look like fingerprints, that's when a virus is working, eating away at the bacteria, and it's hoped if you put that virus in a pill form, it'll do the same to patients. So let's speak to Martha Clokey, who's been pioneering this campaign. How significant are your findings?
They're enormously significant. C. difficile is very difficult to treat with conventional antibiotics, and there are often complications with using them, and viruses represent a whole new way that could be used to actually target specifically the C. difficile infection.
How did you find this apparent cure?
Well, Clostridium difficile, as well as being found in patients, is also found in the environment, in soils and rivers, and we went out into environmental settings and we isolated viruses there, and then we showed that they work well on killing strains that cause disease in patients.
OK, thank you very much, Martha. We wish you all the best. It's early days. They're now going to start official testing of these viruses, but it could take up to a decade for the pill to actually come into production.
Oh, it would be wonderful if it did, though. Thanks very much indeed, Katie. Now, coming up.
I've got gills now, I've been in that water so long.
We're at Pinewood, where Emmerdale's dramatic deep water scenes were filmed.
And after the break, cashback credit cards and how you could be quids in. Martin Lewis will tell you how right after this break.
Hi there, welcome back. Martin's here with his deals of the week. And first up, Martin, credit cards. And I've always tried to avoid them possible, but some of them Can do us a bit of good.
I'm not talking debt here at all. Anyone who's thinking debt, get rid of it. We're not saying that. This is about cashback credit cards, credit cards that pay you each time you spend on them. And the reason I'm talking about them now is this is the perfect time to get one. And the reason's quite simple. The top paying cashback credit card is the American Express Platinum Everyday Card that gives new applicants 5% cashback in the first 3 months. So spend something £100, you get a fiver back, up to a maximum of £100 over those 3 months. So think about it right now. 3 months from now, it's most people's highest spend period of the year. Run up to Christmas and the January sales, which is why you want to maximise it and do it right now if you're going to get it.
You're only going to do it works up to £100 though. You're only going to get £5
You get £100
maximum.
at 5%. No. The maximum you get is £100. So on spending of up to £2,000.
I see. Got it.
And then after that, even once you've done that, you're still getting tiered rates of up to 1.25% that makes it one of the best on the market.
Okay.
Now, of course, the golden rule here is you must pay the card off, block your ears, in full at the end of every month.
Oh, it hurts.
I know, but it's so important.
It's tough love you give us,
I
isn't
don't
it,
mind
Martin?
if it annoys people as long as they remember it, because if you
Right.
don't do that, you're going to be paying 19.9% representative APR, which is far more than the cash back you'll earn. Makes the whole thing pointless, and you'd be better off going for a 0% for spending card. Now, to get that card, you need minimum family income of £20,000 and a decent credit score. If you don't have that, there is the Capital One Classic Extra card. Far easier to get, even for some people who've had past CCJs, older ones. That pays 0.5% cash back. It's primarily designed as a credit rebuild card, which means the interest rate, if you don't repay, is 34.9% representative APR. Go and read what I put on the Daybreak website on this. Don't just do it, because you need to make sure you get it right. A couple of other quick rules. Always repay in full. This is not an excuse to overspend. Make sure you've got cash to cover the monthly repayments. By paying in full, we've effectively turned this credit card into a debit card that bills you each month, but you've got to be able to pay it. And finally, you don't get cash back on cash withdrawals or balance transfers, and I just wouldn't do them on this card. I just use it as your spending card for everything you normally spend on and make it pay you.
Travel news. I'm the happy recipient of a senior rail card, which I use every single week, and great value it is too, but you've got another one.
Kate isn't.
No.
Kate isn't. I think we should all say that very clearly.
Can we all celebrate it?
There we are.
It won't be for much longer, so let's keep going.
No, Family and Friends rail card, something I'm a big fan of. Family and Friends rail card works like this. You, as long as you've got, well, exactly, and you should do, pretty much anyone with a kid, you, travelling with up to 4 adults, you all get 30% off, a third off, actually, and then as long as you're with 1 to 4 children, and the children get 60% off. The price has gone up recently to £30, but currently, if you go to the Family and Friends rail card website, there's a code that gets you £10 off, so you can get it for £20. Now, you can often save that on one journey if you're doing a big cross-country journey as a family.
Okay.
So it's a really good time to get one, and I'm a big fan of that as a card.
I'm a big fan of mine, I'll tell you.
You have to carry them with you, though, otherwise, like me,
You
you've
do.
never got it on you and you end up paying the excess.
I never understand how
Husband,
people
quite
do
bitter.
that.
Quick deals, very quickly.
Come on then,
Quick
quickly.
deals. Free bottle of Sprite if you go to the Rediscover Sprite Facebook page. Click like, you get a voucher that can be used in subways across Great Britain, not in Northern Ireland. Deals people, for some reason, never do Northern Ireland. Not my fault, I'm afraid. I think they need to do better. H&M, there's a 25% off voucher in Grazia magazine this week. The magazine costs £1, so if you're spending more than £4 in H&M, it's worth buying the magazine, even if you don't want it. And finally, Blinkbox, which is Tesco's offering for pay-as-you-go movie streaming. So a bit like buying a DVD in the old days or renting one. You can buy, in some Tesco's, you'll have to check it out, £10 cards, £20 card for £10. So it's effectively half price. Now, they charge £3.49, which is roughly typical compared to their competitors for things like Iron Man 3 or Oblivion. So you can be getting the movies at half price, and it's pay-as-you-go. Unlike the subscription services, you get the card, you watch the movies when you want, and you download it online.
I love the way it says, like buying a DVD in the old days. DVDs are still very much new days to me, mate.
Sorry, John.
Thanks very much indeed, Martin. Thank you. If you're planning to buy any nail varnish this weekend, you might want to check out Martin's web exclusive deal. All the details for that and all of today's deals are on our website, itv.com/Daybreak. John's really excited about that too.
Absolutely.
Thanks very much indeed. Now the headlines you're waking up to this morning. Thousands of teachers in England are on strike today in a row over pay and working conditions. It's thought that about 40% of schools are affected.
Doctors should not blame patients for being fat, according to new NHS guidelines. Medical staff will be told they should show respect and not be judgmental. Still to come. After 8, we'll have a worldwide TV exclusive of Robbie Williams' new video.
And up next, Richard's must-see movies.
And that's not all. I'll be telling you why Steve Coogan and Dame Judi Dench have been hitting the town. It's not something you hear every day, and this is someone you don't meet every day. The lovely Asa, star of Ender's Game, who's taken a break from his A-levels to come into Daybreak. He's also taking Hollywood by storm. You'll take that, won't you?
Yeah, not bad.
Yeah, not bad. Brilliant. I was like that at 16 as well. Awkward. I'll see you after the break.
Hi there, welcome back. It's movie club time, and Richard's here. I've not been to movie club before. I'm very excited about it.
Brace yourself.
Ooh,
it's going to be a
okay.
bumpy ride. Yes. Speaking of which, Dame Judi Dench and Steve Coogan out on the town. In a professional capacity, I have to say, as part of the London Film Festival. Philomena, very much looking forward to this movie. It's the story of a young lass from Ireland in the 1950s who's forced to give up her child by her nuns, and then she has to sign a pledge not to track him down.
Because she was pregnant,
because she's pregnant, yes,
Yeah.
while not married, indeed. Good to make that point. Steve Coogan plays Martin Sixsmith. It's actually based on a true story, who's the journalist who helps her track down the son. They meet in 2004. Very sweet, very harrowing, but terrific performances from all, I'm reliably informed. I have yet to see it, and I'm counting down the days. I know lovely Aled went to interview Dame Judi Dench only yesterday and said it's absolutely spectacular. Another Oscar nod it's got to be. And Steve Coogan, of course, also penned it as well. It's out on November the 1st, so it's one to watch.
Yeah.
One for the kids, half term?
Oh, please.
Should we crack on?
Yeah.
You'll love this one. OK, it's about a snail. Who wants to take...
I've seen it. It's
Have you seen it? It's brilliant. It's about a snail who wants to take part in the Indy 500. Yes, indeed. That's clearly not it, but it is in there somewhere. We're talking turbo. Yes, we're talking a cartoonular fest for the kids. You're going to love it. Ryan Reynolds, Paul Giamatti, and Samuel L. Jackson are also featured as the voices. Yes, you see, you recognise the face. That's a little bit more turbo. The last one was a bit can, wasn't it? Yeah. We'll move on to the next one now, and we're very much looking forward to this. There you go. Look forward to that one.
It's great. It's
Ender's
good for
Game.
People like you and I.
It really is, yes, it'll
dreams
please us.
do come true.
Yeah, indeed. Tortoise, yeah, perhaps not. Always the hare. What are we teaching our children? Ender's Game, great sci-fi caper. You and I saw this only yesterday. Fantastic. Ben Kingsley, who I know you're going to be chatting to after 8, is waiting in the wings. So I'm not just saying it's brilliant because we also have Asa Butterfield, who's one of the stars as well. 16-year-old lad. It's basically about a generation of children who are battling an alien invasion. The most promising children of the Earth are sent to take on the aliens. Never would have happened for us, would it? No. No, clearly not, because we're never picked for the team. Harrison Ford also stars superbly, and I love it. Here we go.
How'd you like to lead your own army? Dragon Army.
Sir, I've never heard of a dragon army.
We discontinued the name 4 years ago. No dragon army ever won a battle.
Then why not a new name, sir?
Because we already have the uniforms.
And who will be in this army, sir?
Misfits, like you, who might just be brilliant with the right commander. There's greatness in you, Ender.
And Asa Butterfield joins us now. Good to meet you, sir.
You too.
Taking a break from his A-levels to take on Harrison Ford. Doesn't happen every day, does it? And you stare the man down in this too.
I do, yeah. It's what's quite interesting is how at the start of the film, he is quite dominant over me in terms of military power, but by the end of it, as you said, we sort of stand eye to eye, and it's really exciting.
I have to say, I saw this yesterday, and I'm not just saying this because you're here. I thought you were. I mean, you're in every single frame of the film. I mean, you're a major star as a result of this film. But you were terrific.
Oh,
really, very powerful piece.
It was indeed very intense. How was it with Harrison Ford, the man himself? Because obviously he's always been Han Solo for me. I mean, if I'd have met him at 16, I would have been a bag of nerves.
I think most people, if they met Harrison Ford, would be a bag of nerves. I was one of them, and yeah, once you get to know him and you talk with him, he is a really nice guy, and because there were so many young people on the set, I think he really brought the best out of us.
How did you do this? Sorry, go on.
No, it's quite physical role for you. Weren't you hanging from wires and doing all sorts of crazy stuff?
No, we're actually in zero gravity.
Really?
No.
Oh,
no,
it's
we're,
real.
We're,
don't forget, you're right. I've just probably ruined the illusion.
When people ask me that,
I'm
I never want to ruin the illusion, exactly. But no, we were on wires, sadly, but we had so much fun. We had a lot of training before filming, just spending lots of time up there, because when we first started, we were terrible, like awful. We were flipping over, we didn't know which way was up.
And did it make you a bit bilious?
A little bit,
yeah. How do you work this? Because, I mean, you were filming in, I think, New Orleans for 5 months. So what happens to your schooling during that period? I mean, because, as you say, you're still at a comprehensive school in North London.
Yeah, no, exactly. And I had a tutor come out with me who keeps in contact with the school and gets all the work sent. And actually, when I was filming, I had to fly to Houston to the British Academy take some GCSEs.
Brilliant.
Which was it is always
and
exciting.
What do your mates think of that? Because when you're hanging out with Harrison Ford and then you're back to North London schooling.
Most of my mates, I knew them before I was into this business, and I guess I'm like any other 16-year-old kid when I'm back at home. I play video games, hang out with mates, listen to music.
Hang around in zero gravity.
Yeah, stand with Harrison Ford and do all the usual stuff.
Do you know, I've got to say that his sister Loxie plays with my little boy Billy in the park, and his mum was sort of saying, he's doing quite well actually. I know you're on TV, but he's doing quite well. I was like, oh yeah, right. Turns out he's doing really well. When I see her again, I'm going to...
Turns out he's a major star.
Turns out he's a major star,
well,
yeah.
Very soon will be.
Say.
You very soon will be. Congratulations.
You, mate. Congratulations.
Well
Terrific
done.
performance. Loved you in
Thank
Hugo
you.
as well. Superb. One to watch indeed. Asa Butterfield. Ladies and gentlemen, Asa Butterfield.
Oh,
thank you very much indeed.
man.
So Ben Kingsley will be here as well after 8 o'clock. We didn't even talk to you about working with him, but we'll talk to Ben about working with you. I'm sure he was absolutely in awe. Down at Pinewood earlier in the summer, just keeping with the Tinseltown theme, Emmerdale of all things. You might want to shoehorn in a cameo into Emmerdale. You'd be brilliant.
I'll slip a word in.
Yeah, do.
Yeah.
Work on the accent though. Just work on the accent. Not much zero gravity going on, but they do take a plunge this week. You've been noticed it's been raining in the Dales quite a bit. Cameron's on the loose. The Woolpack's being flooded. I'll say no more. This explains it. Here you go. Ah, Lucy, it was always going to end in Tinseltown for us, wasn't it? Pinewood Studios in Emmerdale, a phrase you never thought you'd hear. Tense moments at the Woolpack, a siege.
Yes, siege.
The water's rising.
The water is rising. Cameron is on the loose. He has come back for revenge or just to kind of make sure that he gets what he wants.
Creating mayhem as always.
He is, and he comes back to the Woolpack, of course, during this heavy downpour of rain, causing a bit of grief there, and then comes for Debbie and Chaz.
Let's not even bother with a long overdue chat about how you left me for months thinking I'd killed Carl.
Water level is rising, of course.
It is. Marlon is in the Woolpack. He is down in the cellar. The water's rising. Who's going to be let go? Who's going to stay? Who's going to be trapped? And what's going to happen? I can't say anything, but it's very wet.
Dingle out of the Dales, shocker! A man out of water and very much in hot water, Mark Charnock.
Hello.
Tell us all about this. You're all bruised and battered. What news?
I fell down the cellar steps at the Woolpack. Cameron pushed me, the rascal.
Yeah. Can you swim?
Yeah, I'm fine. I tell you what, I've got gills now. I've been in that water so long.
It's extraordinary in the conditions you're working under.
It's the most amazing. It's most exciting. I've been lucky to do the job for 17 years now. It's been the most exciting week of my Emmerdale life. And it's weird when they say get to your marks. You have to swim to your marks, or swim over to have a makeup change, or swim over to see the director. And it's the crew are beside themselves. It's like a bunch of little boys have been released, and they sort of, we've got to go underwater to screw some of the set together. It's absolutely amazing. And nobody can quite believe we're doing it actually. And I've watched them in the back on the monitors. It does look very cinematic. We're all beside ourselves. I'm over there beside myself.
We're inside the state-of-the-art submerged set here at Pinewood. And what is this?
This is the Woolpack cellar, underwater. It's very exciting.
It's deeper than I imagined, and you're thrashing around trying to rescue one and only Lucy Parker.
I am. I've decided I might not rescue her though. I might just drown her. No, I'm joking. But yeah, it's really high. I mean, there's like that much room to breathe.
This has got to be the most exciting stunt you've ever done.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I think it's amazing. I think it's probably Emmerdale's best storyline.
Wow.
Dramatic
good
stuff,
isn't it? Yeah.
Dramatic stuff.
Right.
As is the weather.
As is the weather, although maybe slightly nicer for us today, is it, Laura?
Yeah, it is looking much, much better, thankfully, for today. But before we get to the weather, I want to talk about something really interesting with regards to space, because do you remember earlier in the year that huge meteor shot through the sky in Russia? Well, yesterday, some divers at the bottom of the lake found what they believe to be the space rock itself. Now, this piece of meteorite, if it is indeed said that it is this meteorite, will be the largest that's ever been found on Earth, an astonishing 570 kilograms, and they think when it was in space it weighed 10,000 tons. It's amazing that nobody died from that. But thankfully, if you look into the sky today, the only thing you should see is the sun. Let's take a look.
Daybreak National Weather in association with Topps Tiles, brightening your home whatever the weather.
Yes, thankfully today's weather is looking much more settled, much quieter than it was yesterday, much more sunshine around. But it won't last because there is rain and wind on the way for tomorrow. It's courtesy of this weather front that's just lurking here behind me. That will move in over tonight and into tomorrow. But high pressure, our friend, stays with us today, and it brings with it a mild southwesterly airflow, bringing much warmer air from the middle of the Atlantic, some 10 degrees warmer this morning than it was for many yesterday. But still that pesky weather front sitting across Scotland, and here it brings a grey, grim start. Rain heavy towards western areas, and it will stay that way for most of the day. Further south through much of England and Wales, there's a few scattered showers around, particularly along the M4 corridor. Heavy at times, but many. It's drier, it's brighter, it's warmer, and not foggy as well. Thankfully, that's cleared since yesterday. Now, this is how things progress through the day. Scotland stays cloudy and grey, cool with that rain, but the wind's much lighter. For the rest of the UK, more sunshine than yesterday, lighter winds as well. Temperatures up to 18 or 19 degrees. That is well above average, but that could kick off the odd scattered shower. Now, overnight tonight, the warmth means in eastern areas that we could see some dense fog developing yet again, but down to the southwest, just bear in mind there's our next band of rain on the way. If it starts dry where you are tomorrow, it will not last, as this band of rain will quickly march across the country. For your local 5-day weather update, go to our website, itv.com/daybreak.
Daybreak with John Stapleton and Kate Garraway.
Very good morning. It's 8 o'clock on Thursday, the 17th of October.
Our main story today, up to half of all schools in England could be affected because teachers are on strike over pay and pensions.
And when teachers on strike, it's mum and dad on duty. That means one big childcare headache for thousands of families across the country.
Also on the programme, a must-watch for Robbie fans. We have a worldwide TV exclusive coming up.
And acting legend Sir Ben Kingsley will be joining us on the sofa to talk about his latest movie, Ender's Game. All that come, but first the news of the Rambia.
Thank you, John. Good morning. Thousands of teachers in England are on strike today in a row over pay and working conditions. It's thought about 40% of schools will be affected. Let's join Gamal Farnborough, who's outside a school in Gateshead for us. And Gamal, this is the second phase of this strike action this term.
Yes, so the North East is just one of the areas that will be affected. It means that many parents will find that while one child may be at school, another child may be off. Now, this is the second walkout since September, and many parents have got some pretty mixed views about this. Aisling McSweeney is a physics teacher, but today she won't be in school. Along with thousands of other teachers, she'll be on strike.
We're totally fed up. So Michael Gove's making massive changes to the education system, the way teachers are paid, our working conditions, our pensions. We feel like there's nothing else we can do.
The teachers are protesting about plans to link how much they are paid to how they perform in the classroom and about changes to their pensions.
We don't want to be on strike ourselves. We want to find a way out of this. There is massive pressure on wages and on pensions for everyone. The fact is, though, that if we don't make teaching attractive, these people's children won't have a teacher any day.
Pupils in 4 regions will be affected: the North East and Cumbria, the South East, the South West and London. The government has condemned the move, saying it is disappointing that all strikes will do is disrupt parents' lives, hold back children's education and damage the reputation of the profession. But many parents are supporting the teachers.
I'd rather have my teachers enthused and looking after my kids and doing a decent job.
If we don't strike, our voices are not heard.
It's only a day. If it goes on any longer, I might change my mind.
And this doesn't look like it will be the last strike this year. Plans for another one-day walkout before Christmas have already been announced.
Doctors need to be careful not to blame patients for being fat, according to new guidance for the NHS. The proposals also want medical staff to show they realise that losing weight requires effort. Tiffany Royce reports.
We are in the grip of an obesity epidemic. More than a quarter of adults living in England are classified as obese. Now, doctors are being urged to be kinder. New NHS guidance calls on GPs to be more sensitive when dealing with people who are obese and not to blame them.
The way that you start the conversation is hugely important. You have to remember that doctors have a very short window with their patients, only 10 minutes in all. And if they get off to the wrong foot, that's gone.
Medical staff are being advised to be more aware of the effort it takes to lose weight, whilst referring patients to programmes that aren't just a quick fix. But critics claim you have to be honest, and not being direct will lead to more problems. With obesity now costing the NHS £5 billion a year, it's clear tough measures must be taken. The guidelines are now out for consultation and will be finalised next May.
New guidelines on how the police and courts deal with child abuse cases are being published today. The Director of Public Prosecutions, Keir Starmer, hopes the advice will bring more convictions. The guidelines have been drawn up after several high-profile cases involving the abuse of teenagers. Labour wants payday loan companies to pay millions of pounds in extra taxes. Ed Miliband will say later that his party will use that money to set up credit unions where people can get a loan at a lower rate of interest. It's been suggested that 5 million British families plan to borrow from payday lenders in the next 6 months.
A rip-off is a rip-off. The rates that these companies charge are excessive. Most other countries cap the cost of credit, so we don't see these sorts of problems. Now, we've been calling on the government to do this for 3 years, and they've done nothing.
Scientists believe they've found a new way to treat the hospital's superbug C. difficile. In the last 2 years, more than 3,000 deaths in England and Wales involved the infection. Well, let's speak to Katie Fawcett at the University of Leicester, where they may have made this what is being called a significant breakthrough. Katie.
Well, exactly, Ranveer. Almost 100 years ago, antibiotics were considered a breakthrough because they targeted so many things, but an increasing number of bugs are now becoming resistant. So what they've done with C. difficile is find its nemesis, and they think they finally figured it out. What these scientists are looking at are the marks of success. Each one shows a virus eating away at samples of C. difficile. That virus is now billed to be the secret weapon against the deadly superbug.
Many patients, when they're given antibiotics for C. difficile, they're okay, but as soon as you remove those antibiotics, the patients can relapse and get sick again. So these patients could just be given a little capsule containing viruses.
Between January 2012 and March 2013, there were more than 18,000 cases of C. difficile in England alone. More than 7,500 people got the bug while they were in hospital. Ellen Linstead contracted the infection while being treated for cancer. Her daughter believes a breakthrough like this could have spared her mum's life.
I believe that some C. diff can be resistant to antibiotics, so I think any advances we can have, any science, any technology that can help with preventing it or even sort of treating it would be a great breakthrough.
Clinical trials will now begin on the virus, but getting the pill into production could take up to a decade.
Prince William will present an OBE to Wimbledon champion Andy Murray later. It's the first time that the Duke of Cambridge has handed out royal honours. He's starting to take on more official duties since retiring from the military. Of course, Andy Murray not the only one today.
Indeed, not because Alan is also at the Palace, where he'll receive an MBE from Prince William for his services to music, broadcasting and charity. Very well done.
Very well done. I'm going to call him Dame Jones from now on, I think. We'll get the latest on how the school strikes are going in a moment. A lot of you have been getting in touch. A lot of people actually in support, as well as those who are really inconvenienced by it all. Sue Simmons, I work in school, I see it from both sides, teach under enormous pressure, and parents generally treat school like a babysitting service along with no nursing and social care for their child. It's not, it's about education. That's what they're striking about.
On the other hand, Kate Shaw, no sympathy with teachers, I'm afraid. Wish I had a deal as good as theirs. Whereas David West says most people fully support the teachers. They have a very tough job. Hope they get a settlement. Nobody can afford to strike. Thank you very much, Dee, for those.
We've got the Sports Minister on, haven't we, in a moment? Yes, we'll be putting those points to him as well.
Yeah, and right now let's find out what's happening where you are this morning.
Good morning. Here are today's headlines from Granada Reports. Police hoping to finally find the body of a 22-year-old woman from Merseyside say a new search has been unsuccessful. A man serving life for killing Helen McCourt in 1988, but he's refused to say where her body is. Police searched the grounds of a church in Billinge yesterday. An inquest into the deaths of 2 soldiers killed in Afghanistan is expected to conclude today. Sergeant Nigel Coop from St Anne's and Private Daniel Wade from Warrington were on patrol when they hit a roadside bomb. Police have released CCTV of 2 masked robbers who held up a motorway service station near Rochdale. The men escaped with cash. A riding school in Cheshire is appealing for help after £20,000 worth of equipment was stolen. The Wirral Riding Centre has had to cancel lessons for disabled children after the break-in. Soldiers from the Duke of Lancaster's regiment are returning from Afghanistan for the final time today. Around 400 soldiers from the 2nd Battalion were deployed there in April. Now let's have a look at the weather. Here's Lucy Kite.
ITV Daybreak weather is sponsored by Fruit Bowl Fruit Snacks, brightening up your lunchbox.
Good morning. Well, we've got a bit of a north-south split through today. The brightest of the conditions always the further south you are. Through this morning, we are seeing some cloud and bits and pieces of rain across parts of Cumbria. That will continue in many locations through this afternoon. Still some good spells of sunshine to come further south and highs of 15 degrees Celsius.
Thanks, Lucy. That's it for now. For the latest headlines, go to our website. That's itv.com/Granada. We're back at 5 to 2. Now, though, it's over to Daybreak with John and Kate. See you soon. Bye-bye.
Hi there, welcome back. Now, many parents are enduring or maybe enjoying, you never know, a day of disruption while their children have a day off school because their teachers are on strike. And lots of you are not happy about it.
Yeah, pretty mixed bag of responses, I have to say. Andy Angus is saying no sympathy at all for the teachers or the fire service either. We in the police have had pay frozen and the same pension issues. We don't strike, whereas Amy Ward says it's not just about pay and pension. I presume Amy is a teacher. It's disastrous changes to our practice and the children's future that we're complaining about.
Yeah, and people say teachers choose their profession, but they don't choose what the changes are, and that's what they're objecting to. That's from Deborah Ann Houghton. Well, we're going to get the latest snapshot of how the strike is biting England from our correspondents, and we will be speaking to the schools minister in a moment.
But first, Cordelia is in Brighton. Cordelia, how are parents and children affected where you are today and how they're responding?
Well, around half the schools down here on the south coast have been hit by the strike in some way. Many of them closed completely, like Saltdean Primary here, giving a real headache for parents like Paul. Paul, you've got 2 kids at home today and a business to run. How do you plan to do that?
Well, it was very difficult for us to plan with such short notice, just 6 days. Of course, there's quite a logistical headache. We've had to draft in the help of the children's grandparents to get the kids to and from last night and today. We've had to arrange extra cover at the office, and we're really unsure as to exactly how much further it's going to affect us during the operation of the business today.
A single day of real disruption for you, but for teachers, pay and pensions is at stake. Don't you have any sympathy with them?
I do have a lot of sympathy with them, and I completely agree that they're entitled to make their point and complain. I would just like more notice so that we can carry on with doing things ourselves.
Sure, more notice. That's what Paul wants. Just to clarify, Saltdean Primary and other schools in the area are completely closed, but many schools just managing to stay open somehow.
Cordelia, thank you very much indeed.
Gamal von Buller is in Gateshead this morning. Gamal, what's the picture there?
But here at Grange is just one of the schools in the northeast that will be closed today, and many teachers are saying that they're not just protesting against the reforms of pay and pensions, but it's also what they're calling an attack on the teaching profession. Well, let's talk to Jonathan Boniface, who's a history teacher here. Jonathan, very good morning to you. What are these attacks that the unions are talking about?
We're talking about attacks which really are going to the integrity of the profession. For example, the right for unqualified teachers to be teaching children, and we don't think that's really fair for the future of children. We're also talking about changes to workload, which will make it more difficult for teachers to deliver the sort of quality of lessons that we really want to deliver. I mean, we really see teaching as a privilege, and we want to do our best by the children that are in our care.
Now, clearly, there are going to be a lot of parents up and down the country going to be put out by this. A lot of people are going to have to take the day off work, pay for extra childcare. So what would your message to all those parents be?
Well, I think that I really do speak for everybody taking action today when I say that we don't take strike action very lightly. And also, we're aware that it's very difficult for a lot of parents with that. What I would say is that we're thinking about it from a whole point of view. We're thinking very much about the future of education and taking action now to ensure that we have a good future for our children.
Jonathan, many thanks for your time. Well, that is the view from one history teacher here in Gateshead, but there will clearly be teachers up and down the country who will be sharing those sentiments.
Kamal, thank you very much indeed. Well, let's take you straight now to the schools minister, David Laws, who's at Westminster. A lot of parents fed up today, a lot of disruption they're having to deal with, and the teaching unions say it's your fault because you won't engage in proper talks with them.
Well, we will talk to the teaching unions. I'd be delighted to sit down and talk with them today rather than having this disruptive strike, which is bad for pupils, bad for parents, and which I don't believe has the support of many teachers across the country. Look, we've heard on your programme this morning some of the concerns that the trade unions have been expressing on behalf of some teachers. They've talked about the reforms to pay and pensions. But to be quite blunt, as one of the people that's called your programme has mentioned, these are reforms that are taking place across the whole of the public sector, and they are, I'm afraid, necessary in these very difficult times where we have to get the budget back under control. Most teachers, I believe, accept that, and only a quarter of teachers have ever voted for this strike. What we're doing in teachers is exactly the same as the rest of the public sector, and I really don't believe that this strike is justified, and it is not going to change government policy.
Well, teaching unions haven't just talked about those things on our show this morning. They've also talked about unqualified teachers, changes to workload, things that are making their job hard to do and things that are making the profession unattractive to attach teachers. And how can you have a proper conversation when your boss, Michael Gove, talks about teachers as enemies of promise just for expressing their views?
Well, look, this is part of the problem that I believe the unions have got their members into. That we've got a strike, which as far as the unions seem to be concerned is about pay, is about pensions, is about education policy, is about the messaging from government. I mean, what is this strike precisely about? And, you know, we are prepared to discuss
Down and talk to them and find out. That's what they would say.
Well, we're prepared to talk at any time, and indeed we have been talking to the unions. But frankly, on pay and conditions, what we're doing is exactly the same as across the rest of the public sector. And on education policy, it is through the ballot box and through democratic elections that we decide on our government, that we decide on education policy. The right way to fix education policy is either by talking with the government or through the ballot box. It is not through taking industrial action. I believe that that is the view of the vast majority of teachers who I don't think will be striking today, even in those areas where the NUT and NASUWT are trying to take action.
If you say you're prepared to talk to the teachers at any time, why is it that according to the NUT, your boss, Michael Gove, has only talked to them twice during the last 12 months, and on neither occasion has he addressed any of the substantive issues?
Well, we've seen the unions on multiple times, you know, not just Michael Gove, but all the ministers, officials. He's talked to them about these issues on a number of occasions. The fact is that the trade unions, who take, I think, a much more extreme view on these issues than the vast majority of their members, just don't agree with what we're saying. But the fact is that the school system, the education budget, has had a much better settlement under this government than almost all parts of the public sector. What we're doing on pay and pensions is difficult, but it's necessary. It's been accepted by virtually every other group of public sector workers without strikes. I don't believe these strikes have the support and will have the support today of the vast majority of teachers. And I actually think that trade unions have got themselves out of line with the vast majority of sensible, moderate teachers in this country who just want to get on with their job.
Well, Mr. Laws, thanks for talking to us this morning.
Very good to be with you.
Thank you very much, David Laws. Much more ahead this morning, including a worldwide exclusive of Robbie's latest single and video. And Sir Ben Kingsley joins us on the sofa.
Coming up after past, well, as Emmerdale's dramatic siege reaches its climax, I'll be going live to two of Cameron's hostages. From the Dales to Weatherfield, Corrie's tough guy builder Owen is here. That's actor Ian Paulson Davis. Plus find out why feisty English teacher Nikki is in for a shock on Waterloo Road. You won't want to miss any of that coming right up after the break. Hi there, welcome back. We have a worldwide television exclusive for you now. It's the first glimpse of Robbie Williams' new single and video.
Here he is with Go Gentle.
Just keep it simple. You don't have to kiss though. For all your days and nights, I'm gonna be there. I'm gonna be there, yes I will. Do a gentle through your life. If you want me, I'll be there. When you need me, I'll be
Very good.
Good, like
Very
it.
good.
And that tracks out on November the 11th.
In a moment, we'll be talking to the acting legend Sir Ben Kingsley about his new film. But before we do, here's Tim Vincent with the competition.
Welcome to Hampshire, where we've given away over £260,000 in prizes, and now it's your chance to be a winner. That's because we have a massive £50,000 cash, a Mercedes and lots of gadgets, all for one lucky winner. Imagine this car parked outside your home. It's the Mercedes CLA 180 AMG Sport, and it has a metallic grey finish and the front seats are even heated. Plus, as well as the £50,000 cash and the car, take a look at all the hand-picked gifts and gadgets you'll win too. Including a Prada handbag, an iPad, a Roberts digital radio, a 42-inch TV, a Lumix digital camera, plus lots more. So for your chance to be the envy of people all over the UK and scoop the £50,000, the Mercedes and the gadgets, simply text the word WIN to 65430. Call 090 41 61 9000. Text costs £1.50 plus one standard network rate message. Calls cost no more than £1.54 from BT landlines. Other networks may be higher and mobiles considerably more. Or enter for free at itv.com. Entrance must be 18 or over. Entries made after lines close at midday on Friday the 18th of October will not be counted but may still be charged. Good luck.
Yep, good luck with that. Now, our next guest is an actor with an Oscar, a BAFTA, 2 Golden Globes and a host of other top awards under his belt. He must have a heck of a mantelpiece.
He must indeed, certainly bigger than mine. I'm delighted to say we're joined by Sir Ben Kingsley. We'll be talking to him in just a moment, but first here's a glimpse of his latest film, Ender's Game.
You can't absorb these kind of losses. War isn't a game where you get to reboot and start over. That can't happen, understand?
Yes, sir.
Do you? Because I've trained others. Each one ultimately a failure.
All right, Colonel. He understands. So I'm not the first?
No, but you will be the last.
Wow, and Sir Ben joins us now. So you play
Cool.
Mesa Rackham, and explain the tattoos first of all.
I'm always a bit gobsmacked when I see myself on the screen.
You're kidding.
Oh no, I am.
We all are.
Because it's such,
look, there you
I don't
are.
mean that in the narcissistic sense, but between action and cut, it's such for me an extraordinary leap, and then you've got to forget it to move on to the next. So I can't remember exactly how I put those rhythms together with Dear Asa, with whom you spoke earlier. And Harrison. So, and to see it edited together, that triangle of forces in that scene, it's quite
That's
wonderful.
the best excuse for age making you forgetful. I'm going to use that one.
But
explain the tattoos.
Yeah, explain the tattoos.
They are genuine Maori tattoos. The Maoris tattoo their faces, particularly the warrior caste, the warrior class of people. And it's his lineage as a warrior, his fathers, his forefathers, the history of his warrior tribe or warrior clan. It can be read in the face.
And what
red in the face. I didn't mean red in the face.
I know what
meant
you mean.
red in the face.
And what? And did you find? Because is it one of the first times you had a tattoo? Now, did you find that the cast members reacted differently? Because it's quite a powerful thing, isn't it?
I go very still in makeup. I allow them to do their job. I have my eyes closed, and then when the process is finished, I glance at myself in the mirror and go onto the set. And exactly as you said, everyone looked sort of very curiously and differently at me. So empowered. Sorry, John.
I was going to say, fascinated by what you're saying, but also about to say again, that young lad, Asa Butterfield, who I must confess I never heard of until yesterday, and I saw this film. What an actor!
Yeah, he's in Hugo with me.
Yeah.
And in The Boy in the Striped Pyjamas. He's extraordinary.
Yeah.
He's very focused. He humbles himself to the job, and he has all his priorities perfectly placed.
And speaking of young people, of course...
There's a lot of them, isn't there, in this movie?
You surprised some young people in London the other day. You and your co-star.
At the film, what was it called? The Film
Academy.
Film Academy.
When you turned up a surprise guest for a drama lesson.
That was a shot in the arm. I love being with those kids. They were so
Westminster
enthusiastic.
Academy, yeah.
They'd seen a lot of clips from the film, and I think they empathised with the character. I think that Asa will provide a bridge for a lot of people in his performance who are struggling with those very difficult years from adolescence to young adulthood.
Because it's about lots of themes in this. One of them is about bullying.